needed is Tuesday, August 11th. And our next hearing is Tuesday, August 25th, 8:30 in this room. And so now we'll swear in the staff, please. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you. And now the board roll call.
Sorry about that. Steve Whitman. Jana Maniaci.
Here.
Trudy Bartley. Sonia Brown.
Here.
Bob Loversige.
Here.
Jeff Pongonis. Jennifer Rittler.
Here.
And Tony Slanek.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, and Nolan, can you give the overview of the hearing format, please?
Absolutely. For the overview of the hearing format, for the cases, city staff will present the staff report and then the application materials. After that, the applicant will sit at the presenter table, be sworn in and asked to present their materials. Any registered speakers will approach the podium, be sworn in and provided 3 minutes each to speak. I did provide some speaker slips on the back table, so if you do want to have your 3 minutes, feel free to fill that out and just bring it up here to the table and I'll add you into the list. Commissioners will discuss the case and ask questions if needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll approve the minutes from last month's meeting. And any discussion or issues with the meeting, with the minutes?
I already brought this up to Nolan, to put in under old business, our request for information about lighting.
Okay. It should actually be there now. I made that
It's not on
update.
my pad today, so I
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So move.
And a second? Okay. Oh,
Thank you.
Aye.
aye. Okay, very good. Thank you. So our first case is a presentation for the street lighting priorities update.
We have movements with our several broad trees. To just walk across the street instead of searching for parking. So I'm here today to talk to you about our street lighting.
I'll get your presentation. I'm so sorry.
I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. So I've been with the Division of Power for 12 years. I started off as the assistant administrator. I've been in the role of administrator for 3 years now. Time flies. So been with the city almost the entire time with the beach. Thanks for having me this morning. Yeah, so we're going to sit here, talk to you a little bit about our priorities as it relates to the city streetlights. It's one of our most visible aspects of our division, and sometimes it's one of our most misunderstood aspects of our division. So next slide. And my apologies, I had to send it to you as a PDF because I don't know, I've been having all kinds of technical issues with PowerPoints the last couple of weeks, but I'll step back because I really want to just kind of reinforce this slide. I feel like I say it every single time I speak about street lighting, but I think it needs to be reiterated that the street lighting system is funded entirely by the revenue of the Division of Power customers, which are our ratepayers. I say that in that it is not taxed or a fee yet. We have been working on a proposed plan to develop a fee so that we can spread the wealth across everyone who utilizes Columbus City streets, as opposed to just the 19,000 customers that have the privilege of being served by me. But up until now, the last 127 years, we've been covering the charges for you all. So I say that also because it's important to know that when we talk about limitations in budgeting and funding, it is significant. So as we continue to work through all of our free lighting priorities, it's important to know that if you're advocating for it, help to advocate for our division that we get the support and the funding that we need to do the debt service and do the projects. as I mentioned, the Division of Power has been in existence for over 125 years, 1899 to be precise. We have 98 full-time employees today. We work a 24/7 operations that includes a distribution center, our engineering staff, our metering staff, and our administration. We own and operate the city's streetlight system. Today, there's about 60,000 streetlights. We also have some MOUs to maintain the streetlights at some of the Ohio State locations and for ODOT. So a lot going on out there. Thanks. So, you know, we are a distribution company. We are not a generation, so we don't generate our own power. We purchase power using long-term purchasing contracts. Today, we're in contract to the end of 2028. I just say that because there's been a lot of questions on the cost of energy this summer, and it has risen significantly. But we try to at least do our portion to control the cost based on trying to freeze or at least the energy component of our bills. There's some other facets of energy that we all have to cover the cost for. We have about 19,000 customers, and that's all throughout Columbus. I think it's important to note that Columbus is kind of a unique city where we share this territory with AEP. We don't have a dedicated service territory. So when I say that we're the second largest municipal electric utility in Ohio, next to Cleveland, I think that's a fantastic stats to spew because Cleveland has their dedicated service territories. So that means everyone in their circle has to be served by them, and we're duking it out. Just kidding, we play nice. And then finally, we purchase our power, like I mentioned, through long-term power purchase agreements. And again, we're in contract through the end of 2028. So enough with all the boring stuff, but I have to give you a little bit of level playing field of who we are. So our street lighting system. Like I said, we have about 60,000 street lights throughout Columbus. And those are controlled by about 800 street lighting controllers or circuits. Columbus is massive. You all know, maybe 200 plus square miles. So when I mentioned that we have this many streetlights, we also have a very limited amount of staff that we can dedicate to the streetlights. We have about 5 plant services. So just try to put everything into perspective here. I mentioned that we cover the costs for everything that has to do with the street lighting, including the energy, the materials, the maintenance, and then we go out for bond and debt to do any kind of new construction projects. In general, and I mentioned we have MOUs with OSU and ODOT. In general, streetlights, our engineers use very specific street lighting levels based on the type of streets that are out there and based on the type of street light is serving. So it's based on whether it's a residential street versus an arterial street versus maybe a street with a school or a lot of pedestrian traffic based on a street with a lot of vehicle traffic. So there's some specific levels of lighting that we design to. And so, and then in general, we say that we're 3,000 Kelvin LED city. So we try not to be too bright so that we don't disturb wildlife. We try to be bright enough so that everyone can safely utilize streets in Columbus. And finally, the only way, not finally, but finally on this slide, the only way we really know that something's going on with the street lights out there are to tell us. So we don't have any kind of system. We were working toward having a smart system that gave us some more functionality that we could see in-house. We have run into a lot of stumbling blocks with that smart system, not actually working with the voltage of our circuits. So it was a little bit of a technical hurdle to get over. So now, as we've been doing, we know that something's going on with the streetlights when you all submit your request, or if you call me directly, call my dispatch directly, then we can take care of that issues for you. Next slide. So now I wanted to just talk a little bit about what it is that we prioritize when we talk about streetlights. So there's a couple of areas that we are going to always balance. Right now, we are working to convert all of our existing streetlights to LED. We issued an RFP recently. We got back 7 proposals on Friday. We'll be reviewing it. We will engage with some agency who will assist us. Actually, I'll talk more detail about it in a later slide, but who will assist us with this program. Years before, as we were considering converting all of our streetlights to LED, we had to do it over 20-year span because of the funding. We hope that we can find this new creative way to pay for it. In 2014, we developed a street lighting prioritization plan. That plan is a way to assess all of the streetlights that are currently unlit. And the reason why it's important is because it makes it the most equitable way for us to create a capital plan going out 10 years or more on which streets that we are going to construct new lighting going first. And it's going to be based on lots of factors. We've been working with the Vision Zero team. We have a new grant out there that's going to serve to revise the street lighting prioritization plan so that we are always bringing Vision Zero's plan of no traffic accidents, no pedestrian accidents, making that a priority as we are building our construction projects for street lighting. I know that everyone here is interested in downtown street lighting. We don't have a major capital plan to completely overhaul the street lighting downtown. What we do have are plans to convert them to LED, and we'll be working with the bus rapid transit to do a lot of upgrades on the street lighting on those special corridors. So that includes Broad Street. And then we always have to continually maintain the entire system. And I mentioned before, we're going to hopefully finalize a fee structure that will help to make it more equitable for all of Columbus to enjoy street lighting. So as I alluded to a little bit earlier, we did get 7 proposals in that we're going to be reviewing now to implement this massive street lighting conversion project. We estimated it to be about $25 million. We plan to pay through our energy savings. So as I mentioned, we buy all of the power used to serve the streetlights. It's either served by us, it can be served by AEP, and it can be served by Columbus Southern Power, but we pay all those bills. And so with that said, we know that once we convert to LED, there's going to be a level of 40 to 60% energy savings. And we're hoping to use that savings to pay back this loan that we get for $25 million. This will be the first of my divisions, of my history with the division of getting something that big on the books. So we're really excited. We hope that we get the best team together. We hope that one of those 7 proposals, there's an amazing team that can help get us over this hump. We plan to do it within 18 to 24 months. And like I said before, it was spread out over 20 years. So this is significant for us. Last year, the mayor presented us with $1.25 million to do street lighting, a small portion of street lighting, LED conversions. We focused on Parsons, Sullivan, and Livingston Avenues, which were, if you know, last year's clean and safe corridors. Those were the focus for the mayor's initiatives last year. We identified a little over 3,000 streetlights that we were able to convert in those areas with this $1 million funded by the grant. As I mentioned before, there's about 2,000, let me get this number right, 2,251 miles of streets in Columbus that are lit, and there are a little over 500 that are unlit. So that's about 17% of streets in Columbus that are unlit. Those are neighborhoods mostly, and those are communities that we want to focus in because we don't want any community to think that they're forgotten. And so that's the balancing act of when people want new lights in existing areas, we want to prioritize the lighting that doesn't exist. So this is what I was telling you about that plan. We got a grant we'll be working on revising our prioritization plan. Hopefully, we will get some sort of very calculated measure of which streets are the most important. Anything with any kind of dangerous accidents will be highly important. These are some of the new construction projects that we've completed over the last year. This is just, again, us trying to continue to add streetlights and upgrade the street lighting on areas that were either unlit or underlit. And then I mentioned a little bit about downtown. So this year we discovered that the beautiful flower plants are causing some problems with our fiberglass poles. This is just happens, right? There's some like oversight when you're hanging attachments to the poles, and their weight exceeds the capacity. So we have been working specifically with DCI. We had to remove a lot of the plants. If you noticed, we worked to repair those lean poles. We found some alternative materials with possibly aluminum. The concern is to make sure that the bases match up so that we don't have to dig up the sidewalks. And so that's where we are today. We will be hopefully repairing and replacing these poles next year timeframe, between next year and the 2028 timeframe. And then finally, our streetlight proposal. As I've alluded to several times, you know, our 19,000 customers, the revenue from us selling power to them is what gives an essential public benefit in the streetlights. And so we have proposed a pretty modest fee that we will hopefully be able to implement soon to all property owners. We have already gotten this approved by our utility advisory board. We are just working through with city attorney's office to make sure that we're able to do it as functionally and legally. So the framework is basically to apply an assessment or a fee to all properties and small fees. We're talking like $4 a month kind of fee, not something astronomical that we could use then to infiltrate back into the street lighting system. So where our division may not have enough to do all of those unlit streets or all of the maintenance that we have been wanting to do with our revenue, we'll be able to do way more projects and make a bigger, completely bigger impact on the city. So that might be it. Thank you again for having me today. I hope I didn't bore you, but street lighting is what it is. It's necessary evil. Got any questions?
Director, thank you very much for that presentation. Really, really helpful. But this sort of started with me asking a simpler question than all of this. And that is, over the last several months, we've noticed that a lot of the decorative acorn fixtures into downtown and frankly other neighborhoods around the freeways and Italian Village and Victorian Village are being replaced. The acorn fixtures are being replaced with a black lantern type fixture in sort of a random fashion. And we don't
definitely speak to that. It's usually not random. Unfortunately, we get poles hit every single night.
No, but it's sometimes it's just one light on a 2-light pole.
So sometimes it really has to do with the availability of material. If we wait for that specific matching piece of material, then we won't have a light. And then just going back is kind of impossible. Not impossible. It's just very challenging to go back to match that light when you have 60,000 other lights to attend to.
But you only have 2 decorative fixtures in your specifications. You have a lantern and a acorn.
Specified, but a lot of communities and designated areas are trying to go to more specialized lighting, so that makes it challenging. Like, for example, Ohio State has a bigger than the rest of the cities.
So you're replacing their dead lights with these little lanterns too then? Okay. But don't you have a stockpile of those 2 fixtures? There's 2, there's only 2. There's a acorn light and there's a lantern. And they don't mix.
But okay, we would do it. We do what we can to make sure that we replace it with the most the closest material we possibly have.
Well, can we get some kind of a commitment from the downtown area that they won't degrade our lighting by making these random changes? There's one right outside City Hall.
Making it so that pedestrians can't see or drivers can't drive.
No, I agree there needs to be a light, right? If the light is dead, it should be replaced. I get that. But why wouldn't you replace it with the same one to keep the design of our downtown consistent?
As consistent as possible. That's our desire. It makes life easier for us when everything is consistent. Now, there's times when maintenance, when our ability to get inventory isn't there. There have been times when I've been told that some of these bulb lights are heavy and they're glass. So we have been trying to transition to a plastic or a different material so that it's just the safety of people. Like if it falls down on someone, we don't want that to injure anyone. And so there are some things that we've just been working to transition. But again, like I said, there's only so much we can do with inventory when inventory has been strained.
When you replace an acorn light with a lantern, do you keep track of it so that when you have the inventory, you come back and correct it?
But we have 5 people who are doing this job for 60,000 lights.
If we send a 311 call, will you will you do it?
The job for 60,000 lights.
I understand it's a challenge, but it's a big negative on our downtown to have these kind of random aesthetic changes.
It's positive to have the light working at night when folks need the lights.
So I don't disagree with that, but we take great pride in our downtown. One of our charges is to keep tabs of things like that. And
The downtown commission or any other entities want to help us fund a more consistent look across downtown, that would never be pushed away, believe me. But again, there's no fee right now. No one is getting taxed for the streetlights at this point.
well, it sounds like we should support your fee.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because we're a design review board, we're looking at buildings, but we're also looking at the streetscape and how that is integrated with the building, especially if there are site improvements. Is there a way that we could have some type of master plan of the downtown lighting, just to know where you have the acorn, where you have other types of lamps, so that, and when you're going to change to the LED, what you are proposing to do, just so that we have a sense of the overall, and then, it will help us with our review.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes,
And
I
then,
can absolutely give that to you. We're hoping when we get that vendor and organization on board to do the map street lighting, we're not hoping, we have actually specified in our RFP that they are going to be working, especially with getting permitting, making sure that the designs are consistent with the designs through that same community. This will help us when we do this to make sure that there's more consistent lighting, there's more eyes out there. But just on a regular basis, as we're continuing to maintain the entire city, we only have 5.
now, have you chosen the lamp style for the replacement for the downtown? Like, are you replacing with acorn style, or?
We're going to replace with the same style.
I see.
Consistent. Like if you see that there's one that looks a lot different than the other, we'll make sure that those are touched at that time.
Okay, and if there's any way we can help you with that, just let us know. But I'm sure we all appreciate that we would get the master plan, and that would help us. And, okay, thank you. Okay.
Sorry, Nolan, you may have to remind me.
Okay. Well, Nolan, does anyone have any other questions for the? Okay, and anybody in the audience, do you have any questions or concerns or comments? Okay, well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Okay, well, we now go to our applications, and we have a new application. It is 211 North Fifth Street. So can the applicants please come up?
Morning.
Hi, good morning, and we will swear you in.
right.
So you'll just raise. Okay. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say you do.
I do.
Okay, thank you. And can you state your name and your affiliation for Nolan, please?
Yeah, so I'm Phil Riazzi. I'm an architect at WSA, designing for this project.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much. Staff report?
Mhm.
All right. So 211 North Fifth Street is a three-story office building located at the corner of North Fifth Street and McKee Alley. The applicant seeks commission approval to relocate the main entrance, which currently fronts Fifth Street, to the west side of the building where direct access to the elevator is available and existing grade conditions allow for an accessible stair-free entry. The proposed entry will incorporate new building signage and a raised terrace, which will provide a buffer between the building and the adjacent parking lot. Additionally, the proposal includes restoration of existing window openings, as well as increasing the height of the windows along the south facade. Submitted materials include site photos, site plans, building elevations, and renderings. The downtown design guidelines note that awnings and framing systems should be compatible with building design. Additionally, awnings and canopies should be installed without damaging or visually impairing distinctive architectural features of the associated building. And lastly, the downtown design guidelines are consistent with this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Nolan. Okay, so you can present.
Yeah, so I'll first say to clarify on the entry, there's two things that we are improving. There's the architectural move of creating this additional entry, and there's the signage that we're looking for approval on.
Okay,
The new entry is an additional entry. We're not proposing to remove the entry on Fifth Street. There's an existing kind of not original fabric awning that we would like to take off and expose the original detailing around the limestone detailing around this entry. So we are proposing that we keep that. But as Nolan stated, it's not accessible. There are stairs both on the outside and on the inside. So short of a major reconstruction of the building where the scope is an interior renovation, we are proposing that the new entry be located on the west side facing 4th Street. There are a couple of reasons we think this makes sense, the biggest of which is the accessibility. The elevator, which you're seeing, the penthouse for that shaft is in the middle of this rendering. So the elevator is on the side of the building and grade slopes in a way that allows us to enter the building without steps. But also it allows us, I think, to address McKee Alley in a way that, for future development, hopefully, of our surrounding surface lots, that this becomes something of more a dynamic and a welcoming corner instead of the feeling like the back of the building. And the property line is what you're seeing is the edge of the sidewalk in the foreground. So this space between the building and the parking lot would always be there. It's not, we're looking forward and hoping that development of the surrounding lots happens. And so this would always have that, it's about a 15-foot area around the west side of the building. So we can flip through the visuals somewhat quickly. I think awareness of where the building is. We're in the warehouse district. And we pulled some existing images of buildings in the area that have similar entrances off the side or the back of the building. And here we're setting up, again, our site plan here that what's in orange is what we're proposing is new. And the architectural move on the new entry is that we actually want to carve into the corner of the building. It's an old loading dock area, so the slab is at grade height. The structure of the building allows us to do that somewhat easily. It's brick infill with concrete structure. So you're seeing that open up, and that would be a new storefront entry, which would allow you to go in immediately to an elevator or up to the stairs to the first floor. The tenant space or the split of the building. So you're seeing here a call out of blade signs. So our client, Construction One, has bought the entire building. They plan to take half of it, the top floor and half of the second floor, and lease out the first floor and the remaining half of the second. They don't have that tenant. So what we have here for signage is generically calling out a second tenant, but the intent is to have two tenants in this building. With the primary owner obviously being Construction One, taking advantage of the visibility from the 4th Street corridor. That's why the signage was desirable for them to be on this side. The other element you're seeing in that rendering is the patio to serve as kind of a buffer between the parking lot for occupants to use. Just something to kind of shield you and protect from cars that are parking head in right there. So before and after, I think hopefully a nice improvement to the building. There's some non-original materials that we're hoping to peel off. It's a, residential style garage door that we're taking off. None of that is original. We would be keeping all the existing structure. There's actually an old like riveted beam that's covered up by that stucco that we want to expose and maintain. So no, it's more of a exercise of reduction than addition is really architecturally our approach here. Wanting to peel back and then add in this really, sleek, modern entry element to signal entry and branding for the building. So we've got plenty of renderings. The second half of the presentation is on the signage. So here's that. Sorry, if you want to go back to that, Nolan, real quick. This is the existing entry. We want to take off that non-original like eyelid awning. And when we get to signage, we want to add that back in the name, the address number on the building and that transom. But we would not be removing or downplaying this entrance beyond what it already is.
And you're also replacing windows. You're opening.
Yes. So the next
Window.
elevations, yes, on the south side, McKee Alley side, there are windows, which you can see in the thumbnail up there. They're very high. We propose to take those back down to the sill height that you see on the 5th Street side. That would just be on the south side. And then what you're seeing on the first floor is there are existing windows that were clearly bricked up that we want to reopen. There's a close-up of, again, of that garage, which again is more, it's a after non-original like aluminum residential style garage door that we want to pull off and open up. View from the west side is seeing the new sign patio. And this is the north side, which is up against the parking lot. This is abuts the property line. So we are not proposing modifying or expanding any of the windows. What we want to do is replace, they filled in some old loading dock doors with glass block that we'd like to bring back to glass or put in glass, but not this side. We don't want to modify any openings. Pulled together, the material palette is pretty simple. A lot of it obviously existing. We've got brick building. We want to paint some of it. We've got some concrete. The patio we're proposing is concrete, cast in place concrete. That awning element that we're proposing is a architectural metal in the Construction One brand red. And the rest, we've got a railing around that patio, which we're proposing in black. Some landscaping you saw in the patio bed. And then we want to integrate, linear light into that canopy element, which you can see in a section later on. And then storefront. So a minimal palette in terms of, like I said, it's an exercise of pulling back instead of adding a lot, we think. So we pulled for additional detail, cut sheets on what some of those materials could be, colors. So you can see the lighting that would be integrated at the leading edge of that kind of the knife edge of the canopy. Something minimal and that provide safe visibility on an alley and parking lot side.
Does that go all the way across and around on the alley as well?
Yes, we're proposing it'd be the two sides. Yes.
Help me understand the ADA accessibility to the building.
So the existing condition, or like the front of the reason we're doing this, the front of the building has stairs on the sidewalk level and inside the building. You enter and still have to go up the 3 stairs. This side, the McKee Alley slopes as it goes west, and this is at grade. It's an old loading dock, and the elevator is that solid part of the wall that you're seeing. You can actually see the penthouse.
If I'm in a wheelchair out here, how do I get to the door?
You've highlighted a rendering issue that I'm not also now, we wouldn't have a curb. There's not a curb there. We accidentally modeled a 6-inch looking curb all the way around. It's flush.
So it's flush.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a
Got it.
visual.
Yep.
Is the sidewalk wide enough to drive a wheelchair down? It looks pretty narrow.
The sidewalk
This whole thing's flush.
Along the alley.
along the alley, it is, it's not very well. It's only like 3.5 feet. It's pretty narrow.
Mhm.
So all the parking for the building would be on this side, which is another reason.
Yeah. Till somebody builds something there.
Yeah, correct.
I have a question about two of the new walls that you're creating. So the one that we see here that's, right next to, adjacent to the patio, is that an existing brick wall that is painted, or is that a new wall?
Where the cursor is, the solid white part?
Yes.
Yes, that's existing,
Okay.
existing brick that we would paint.
Okay, and then when you open that up, the entry up a little bit beyond, and you recess it back where you're creating two new windows, is that, are you using new brick there and painting it? What is the
Oh,
material?
in the recess?
Yes, in the recess, the return wall.
Yeah, we had not planned on it being brick based on the style of the building, that it would be, you know, we didn't really discuss the little part below the glass there on the.
That whole return wall, it has two windows in it.
Yeah, well, we're proposing that it's almost all storefront, and then it would be an exterior gypsum for some of the infill.
Okay, so it's
solid.
going to be more storefront than you see in the, on the rendering.
No, I guess maybe I'm not the inset part you see on the left is all glass.
Right, and then this wall here.
Yes, so I guess
That-
there is existing brick there
There is?
that would be painted. Yes, I'm sorry. It's an old, I don't know if there's a photo in the existing photos. It's an old loading dock, and there are exterior windows there that were.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I
Regular
thought you
door.
were
Yeah, sorry.
creating. Is that, and that now will just, it's just the exposed brick now.
Right.
I'm just wondering, I like that, I love the contrast with the white brick, but I'm wondering in that, with that return wall, if you'd consider just leaving that the regular
red
brick
brick.
color. It's just something that maybe to explore, but I do also like the fact that it's all white and it's one
Yeah.
monolithic piece as well.
Some of and again, I don't know if it's in one of the existing photos or I can pull it up myself. The brick that is in there
Mhm.
is, the faces of the brick are starting to peel off pretty
Oh.
bad. So what we're proposing is that we would repair that, keep it brick mostly, because most of it's still intact. But there's a lot of brick in there that would not be able to just be painted and left as is.
Okay.
But yes, there's existing brick because that loading dock door would open. Those were exterior walls.
I see. Yeah, I thought it was, I thought you were creating something new. I wasn't sure.
yeah.
And I thought with the brick that you were losing from the exterior wall, you could use that.
Yeah, this is certainly a good idea.
Okay.
We'll have the some that we're replacing on this actual true exterior wall is in good shape.
Okay. And then the planting bed. The planting bed, I'm wondering
Material?
what planting.
So that
materials.
we're planning on poured in place concrete.
Mhm.
It would be tiered, and we've developed in a way that it would be cast, would look monolithic in concrete.
Mhm. And the windows, you were replacing with similar to the existing.
Yeah, right now it's not exactly like the modern stick built 2x4 black aluminum storefront, but that's almost an identical look to what's there. It's a little different. The bottom portion is operable, awning style window. So we would look to keep that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
The back patio area or courtyard, is there a separate entrance for that? Will people use these
There-
exits and entrances?
Yeah, there is an entrance. You can kind of see the thicker style on the door, or if you go to the plan, there is an entrance up on the patio side. It's an existing, another loading dock door that we're turning into storefront.
Okay.
The next one, if you don't mind, next plan. So there's a door up at the top where it says terrace. So yeah, right there. That opening is an existing metal coiling loading dock door.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Looks good.
I don't know, with Tim sitting there looking over your shoulder, I feel like I should give you a hard time, but I think this is a clever solution.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the second half of the presentation is specifically on signage. So we call out exactly the locations, that site plan right there that we're proposing Signage on Fifth Street that would obviously tell you the address, the tenants of the building, vinyl on the door that would tell you accessible entry off McKee Alley. So that eyelid canopy or awning we're proposing would take away and clean up the existing limestone detailing, which is nice, and put a 211 on the transom. And then the next slide is, we'd obviously want some directional wayfinding signage on the door to tell you accessible entry, but this would still be an entry for the first floor tenant. And the next slide is building signage. So we'd call it, the building address, the two tenants. The next slide is a blow up of that. Construction one would be assigned whoever the other tenant is, would fit in the same.
I wanted to ask you about that. It looks like that the tenant sign, even though they look individual, it looks like they are all on like a single frame.
Yes.
So that when you're penetrating in for, to adhere it to the brick, it looks like that would be minimal penetration because it's not, each of those plaques are not individual. It looks like they're
Right.
inserted into a frame.
Right. There's the next slide is a example image of, maybe it was one before, but yeah, it'd be a custom fabricated metal sign that would have on standoffs, just in a few areas, but
To the degree possible, we'd prefer that the anchors go in the joints of the brick instead of into
Yeah,
the base
okay.
of the brick.
yeah, there's the photo I was referencing it. So that would be at the corner of Fifth and McKee, and then the other signs, which are more visible in the renderings, as you saw, two blade signs that would again call it the tenant spaces. That would be something, the idea that that's visible as you're on Fifth Street, you see something that says accessible entry, you would look down the alley and see those right away. And
And
then,
you're keeping the Fifth Street address, right?
yeah, it would still be 211 North Fifth, yes. So those blade signs would direct you down the alley or visibility from either side. And obviously the construction that we're proposing, that would be internally illuminated during the day, black and white as you see, and at night would light up solely white with a perforated metal front that would allow that to, that's what the next slide is about, is the nighttime view would be, this would all light up just white.
You're proposing any lighting by the blade sign or along the alley?
We were not, but could certainly entertain it. Yeah, we were not planning on it. There's, I'm sorry, the brick you can see in this elevation there. You're looking into that recess in this view. So
Oh, that's the brick you were looking
yeah,
at.
that was the question. Sorry, when I was,
Oh, that's okay.
the materials, those are existing brick. We have to repair some.
Yeah, I thought it was new that I
Yeah.
didn't realize, yeah.
Existing brick, and it's on that existing concrete stem wall.
Mhm.
That would all be original materials.
Do you see, um, a considerable amount of, pedestrian traffic going down that alley, walking that way? Or do you see primarily people coming and parking and using the?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been interesting to talk with our client. I mean, as fellow designers, I'm like, the hope for our city is that, yes, that becomes more active and that surface lots are developed, and the building next door is vacant. There's another surface lot across the corner. But the idea is that, yes, this becomes more vacant. In the short term, our client is like, yeah, I love it because my parking is there. And we are like, yes, for now. We don't know for how long. But yes, the hope is that alley with the development of the building next door, someone move in there and some of these surface lots, that becomes more active, which architecturally, we like this move for that future looking phase, that this is something that when further development comes up, you've got a corner that can activate the alley, like some of the other examples, on a smaller scale, Pearl Alley, or like something where that could become a little more dynamic than just a service drive.
I think like Jennifer was saying, that considering lighting for
Yeah.
that alley is a really good idea to talk to the client about. the
Yeah.
owner of that.
So, I mean, you're removing the canopy around. It's like it's a- maybe there's something additional.
Yep.
But otherwise, I mean,
solution is really, really strong, right? How you're providing accessibility.
Great, thanks. Yeah, and you can kind of see in that linear light would continue, but yes, that's obviously only for the first quarter of that elevation. We could either look at some wall mounted lights or
Does the parking lot have lighting, existing lighting in it?
there's existing pole lighting out in it's the whole block from Spring up to basically all, it's 2 blocks or whatever, where there's pole lighting in that surface lots.
Is the canopy on the alley past the right of way?
No, it does not go past, well, it doesn't extend past the sidewalk. It's within you can see it's it doesn't stick out
Right.
as much on the south side.
So the scale of the signage seems very, very appropriate for the
Yeah, thank you.
It is, it's a really dynamic solution, and yet and at the same time, it doesn't detract from the existing building. It works very well.
Thank you. Yeah. The before and after is always, when we put the existing photo now and against this, we're certainly excited about.
It's not a beautiful building in the back.
On the back, yeah, the Fifth Street side is nice. It's not much to look at. This actually faces our office, so
Let's go.
but we see across the parking lot. So we're vested.
Okay. Well, any more questions? Any questions or comments from the audience? Okay, well then, could somebody make a motion?
I move approval of the proposal or of the application as proposed.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you are approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, our next case is 280 North High Street. And it's a graphics package. So first we'll swear you in. Raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you are about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say you do. Okay, thank you. And can you give your name and affiliation to Nolan, please?
Carly Winfrey, Associate Vice President with Nationwide Realty Investors, owner of the 280s.
Thank you.
And Niels Brom with Signcom.
Thank you.
And Nolan will introduce the case.
Yes. This is 280 North High Street. 280 North High is an 18-story multi-tenant office tower located at the northeast corner of North High and East Chestnut Streets. The applicant seeks approval from the Downtown Commission on the following proposed package: canopy-mounted letter set, the exterior directory of the building tenants, the building ID window vinyl, a multi-tenant freestanding monument in the rear of the building, and a parking ID window vinyl. This application is generally consistent with the downtown design guidelines for graphics. However, the guidelines state that ground signs are supported in portions of downtown with larger setbacks and should be made of durable, high-quality building materials that complement the primary structure. The applicant proposes high-quality materials for the ground sign, but proposes placement at a location with smaller setbacks. Additionally, the applicant proposes external lighting for the ground sign, but has not provided specifications. Staff encourage the applicant to confirm placement and specifications of proposed monument lighting. The application is generally consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Thank you.
Go through this, it should look fairly familiar. The sign package was included in the building design, which this group reviewed and approved earlier this year. However, at the time, we were still using the building address at 280 High. Shortly after, we announced the official name of the building as the Centennial on High, in recognition of Nationwide's 100th anniversary. So you'll see these various sign types were again included in that original package, but Niels can give you the detail, particularly the materials and the location specifications.
Mhm.
So in general, we have the canopy letters at the front of the building along High Street. That'll just say Centennial. Those are face illuminated channel letters. Not too different from what we see all over downtown Columbus. There's also a small directory building directory sign that is adjacent to the entry doors at the front along High Street. There is some vinyl that will go on the corner windows, and I think the sign in question really is the monument sign that is at the back of the building, essentially right at the entrance to the parking garage that will be serving the building. So that's the main reason for that monument sign there. The setback, it depends on which way we're looking at it, I suppose. We're really looking at this sign as being something that serves users as they're pulling into the Pearl Street to get ready to turn into the parking garage. So the sight line sort of behind it, there's going to be a planting bed, and the sign goes in the planting bed. That is part of the landscape plan, so it's a little bit of a misnomer the way this is drawn on here. It looks like it's just outside of the planting bed. It's actually inside the planting bed. And then the lighting is just going to be a ground mounted spotlight. We have some specifications for that now, which we can send to you guys for review. But essentially, it disappears in the landscape. It's just an uplight to provide a little bit of illumination for that sign. Materials are all fabricated aluminum, painted with applied vinyl.
The only question I have was the public parking sign on the overhead walkway. Are those vinyl letters?
Yes.
Are they coordinated with the storefront? It looks, I mean, if the storefront has depth to it, how's that lettering going to work?
That will have to get cut. I think we may need to look at the spacing potentially, but those window mullions, I'm not sure how deep those window mullions are. And I don't know that we can space those out in a sort of 1960s style letter spaced. So we're a little bit limited in that. I'm not sure if those are actually supposed to be. These are vinyl. I'm not sure if they're going to be, let's see if they're white or if that's frosted.
But they're on the face of the glass, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
And there is some frosting currently on there that we would pull off in order to execute this. But the garage, the Chestnut Garage actually serves both the 280 building, but then there's also an additional bridgeway that goes to serve the multiple hotels, Hyatt Regency, and the convention center there. So this garage, while it supports the 280 building, serves a broader.
Yeah, I'm not
purpose,
sure
which is
people
well.
really know that's public, so I think it's good to have this. I'm not objecting to the sign. I'm just worried about whether it can be done the way it's shown.
I'm also wondering, because it's a vinyl sign, that is your long-term solution for that location?
That was the intent, and I think the way it looks right now, those mullions, they really, it's nearly flush to the glass. So there is kind of a frosting on top of it right now that we would remove in order to apply the letters there, but we could also probably do them.
Well, I just think you should
apply them from the inside.
I would suggest taking a better look at that and make sure it all works. Is that on both sides of the bridge? Or no, it's a one-way
No,
street. It's
still
a
on the
one-way street.
Inside, just facing, what's that street right there?
Pearl.
Pearl.
Yep. So you go from Chestnut, turn into like Pearl Alley there, and then right into the garage.
And the signage that you had on the window for the tenant, not the tenant, I think it's advertising
The corner.
for the corner sign, that is not the full window, right? That is just a portion of the window, it looks like.
Correct. And that is intended to be temporary. So we would,
Okay.
once we have the
Yeah.
initial lease up, that would.
And there's only one, there will be only one of those, is that correct? And like you said, the main reason you're here is for the monument sign. And I don't have any trouble with that. I think it looks very well, and I feel fine about the location.
I think the whole program is elegant and understated. Look great.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay. And then anybody in the audience comments on this application or questions? Okay, so I guess we're ready for a motion.
Move to approve.
A second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. You're approved. Okay, our last two cases are conceptual applications. And the first one is 165 North Washington Avenue, Columbus State Community College. Okay, sure. Hey, welcome.
Good
And
morning.
we'll just swear you in.
Well, I have a whole bunch of
Oh,
with
okay.
me
So
too. So
everybody with your team that will be talking, we will swear you in together, okay? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you are about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say you do?
I do.
Okay, thank you. And then, for the record, can you give Nolan your names and, affiliation?
Perfect. Yeah, Zach Woodruff, Chief Real Estate Development Officer for Columbus State.
Gary Lynn, Chief Operating Officer for the mine. Still project manager. So.
Okay, thank you. And Nolan will introduce the case.
All right, this is 165 North Washington Avenue. Columbus State Community College seeks conceptual review for a new YMCA and childcare facility adjacent to the Columbus State Community College campus. The project proposes removing a large portion of the existing surface parking lot to build the new two-story, 53,000 square foot facility. In addition to the childcare center, the building will house fitness, gymnasium, and pool facilities, as well as space and support for Columbus State Sports Exercise Program. The downtown guidelines state that buildings should generally fill the horizontal space of their lot rather than leave gaps in the streetscape. Additionally, it states that larger, deeper sites can accommodate larger building spans. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and members of the commission and city staff. If I said, my name is Zach Woodruff, Chief Real Estate Development Officer for Columbus State. As you are aware, Columbus State is one of the largest real estate owners downtown and an anchor of the Creative Campus and Discovery District. In 2020, Franklin County voters approved Issue 21, an ambitious $300 million bond issue that is allowing Columbus State to embark on a multi-year capital transformation of its downtown campus. We are in the midst of that master plan right now that will, amongst other things, renovate all 300 of our classrooms and labs, improve connectivity on campus, and construct new purpose-built academic facilities. In addition, we are working with key stakeholders, including the city, Franklin County, Downtown Columbus, Inc., and others, to reposition underutilized real estate assets to address non-academic barriers for students and address community needs. This work will take more than a decade to complete, but we understand that working with regional stakeholders through these developments, the results will be a revitalized creative campus and Discovery District neighborhood that surrounds the campus where everyone feels welcome, connected, and inspired. Many of the projects that are underway and developments that we will bring forward over the next few months will be centered around the intersection of Cleveland Avenue and Spring Street. Next slide, Nolan. Again, the general area that we are talking about. A couple of the projects this body has already approved and seen and are moving forward. Construction is progressing on Ohio Health Hall, and we anticipate being complete and welcoming students in autumn 2027. Catty corner from Ohio Health Hall demolition has been completed, clearing the way for groundbreaking for the Opportunity Point affordable housing project later this fall. Moving forward, it is our intent to bring the commission separate applications for each individual component of our master plan. This would include a new automotive technology facility, the Innovation Hub, which will include individual projects such as the Ohio Center for Advanced Technology, OCAT, Future Green Space, and the first project, the official application for today's meeting, the Columbus State YMCA. Next slide. Again, to give you an orient you onto where we are talking about. One more time, please. And again. So again, as shown on the screen to orient you, this is the large 6 plus acre surface parking lot bordered by Spring and Long to the north and south, and Cleveland and Washington Avenues to the west and east. As you can see, this is home to an 800-plus surface parking lot that is currently utilized by students. What we are proposing is a new state-of-the-art 53,000 square foot Columbus State YMCA to be located in the southeast corner of this parking lot. They're fronting Long and hugging Washington Avenue. The height of the building is approximately 35 to 38 feet. Again, approximately the height of a 3-story residential building, and is oriented as close to Long and Washington as setbacks and utilities will allow. This facility will be owned by Columbus State and operated by the YMCA of Central Ohio as its new downtown location. In addition to YMCA members, Columbus State students will be able to access this new facility through an activity fee for free membership beginning in 2028. Next slide. As you can see from the layout, and from the renderings that we'll share in a moment, this facility has 2 entrances. The main entrance for members, staff, and Columbus State students is located on the northwest corner, and a second location at the southeast corner for the daycare childcare facility. That's an incredibly important component of this project, the childcare, and I'd like to focus for a moment on that. This project and partnership began with Columbus State's desire to address the non-academic barrier of childcare our students face. To mitigate this challenge, we reached out to the largest childcare provider in the region, the YMCA of Central Ohio. Together, we have crafted a first-of-its-kind throughout the country childcare program. Included in this new state-of-the-art facility will be access for all Columbus State students enrolled in 1 or more 4-credit classes, excluding College Credit Plus and our apprentice program APPL, to receive up to 5 hours a day of free drop-in childcare while they attend class at our downtown campus. Currently, we anticipate being able to offer this service for students attending morning, afternoon, and evening classes, perhaps as late as 9:30 at night, with a capacity to serve throughout the day 400 to 500 children. So we're literally talking about solving the childcare dilemma for hundreds of our students. This component will be a licensed daycare facility, and as such, we have the second dedicated entrance and the required outdoor play space for children along the northern and eastern section of the building. These areas will be screened, fenced, and only accessible from the facility. Next slide. As this slide shows in green, another special component of this partnership is the relocation of Columbus State's sport and exercise science program into the facility. Columbus State will utilize 2 large classrooms and labs and 5 offices, as you can see on the diagram there. To describe the use of the remainder of the facility, I would ask Gary Lynn, Chief Operating Officer for the YMCA of Central Ohio, to come up here and join me.
Good morning, Commissioners. Grateful to be here today. As Zach said, my name is Gary Lynn, Chief Operating Officer for the YMCA of Central Ohio. I would also say that RY is incredibly excited about this partnership and this opportunity. One, to have such a great partner with Columbus State to be able to make this possible. Also, the opportunity to impact the kids' lives and the students' lives, not just with the facility itself, but the childcare program we think can be life-changing for some of these individuals. And then finally, also to be able to serve the downtown community. We have a long history, over a century, of serving this community. Obviously, there has been a gap ever since COVID. And so to be able to come back and serve this community in such a meaningful way with such a strong partner with Columbus State is something that is incredibly important and special to us. As Zach mentioned, the childcare component, we're going to start with that in terms of this diagram. So we'll start on the right side of the screen, or the east side of that. As Zach mentioned, there's a large parking garage right on the east side of Washington. And so we intentionally put the childcare component to the east side of this to make it ease in terms of people parking, walking right across the street with Washington, and being able to come into the entrance to a dedicated entrance just for childcare. Once you come into that entrance, you get checked in by the Welcome Center there, and you have the opportunity. In the purple, you see there's a 2,000 square foot space that is dedicated just for childcare throughout the entire day, and also is broken up into 3 different sections. So infant, toddler in one section, preschool in another section, and then school-age children in the. Each of them have their own dedicated bathroom and storage, and they also all have access to an age-appropriate playground, depending on their age level, to the east and to the north of that facility. In addition to this childcare space, we also have 3 flex spaces as the population for childcare grows throughout the day or during some of the peak times. The first dedicated space you'll see in tan or orange on the north side, just next to the purple. That is about 1,200 square feet of multi-purpose space that allows us to flex over into childcare when it gets to be a larger presence. We also have a dedicated bathroom and storage area in that space as well. When that reaches capacity, just to the south of that, and the other area in green or in orange, that's about 2,100 square feet of multipurpose space that allows us to flex into childcare there, and also with the dedicated restroom and storage space. And then finally, when we reach our peak capacity, we have the opportunity to go through a door and head into the gymnasium. We will drop a curtain down, and then our staff will care for kids on the east side of that gymnasium, with 5 restrooms just out there, just outside the door area for it. When all is told, during our peak times, we can handle about 280 kids at once. And as the turnover, when classes take place and people pick up their children, we anticipate being able to have 400 or 500 kids at any one given time or one day. If we move to the other side of the building, to the community center entrance on the northwest side, we were intentional about having the main features of our facility be visible right upon the entrance. And so the biggest selling points of any YMCA or community center are the pool and the fitness center. We know about 85% of everybody who joins a Y or joins a community center joins because of those areas. And so we wanted to make them visible right from the very get-go. So as you walk into that lobby space on the northwest corner, you will see a glass window encompassing the natatorium, and you can see right in there and all the activity taking place, as well as being able to see open area past the Welcome Center into that green space or teal space, which is the large fitness center, which is those are the 2 most important areas, I think, for people joining a facility. In addition to that, you'll also be able to see a walking running track on the 2nd level that we also think will be incredibly popular to some of our members and the staff or and the students. When you walk into the lobby area, we're also very intentional about opportunities for engagement. So we have a welcome center that our staff will be at, being able to greet members and students the minute that they walk in. We're also very intentional in this space. I'm talking about the yellow just to the north of where your cursor is. Also intentional about just the seating to be able to offer the opportunity for engagement, whether it's students to students, staff to students, members to students, and everything else. When you walk through the Welcome Center, immediately greeted by a large fitness center. We were intentional about this, having a low half wall so that when you come in there, the ease of getting into the fitness center, as well as the opportunity to see all the types of equipment and everything that is encompassed in there. This space will primarily serve a lot of the strength training components, and it'll have a wide range, so it's available for every level of fitness. On the southwest side, also in teal, right next to the SES portion, this space will be dedicated turf. Indoor turf is becoming more and more popular across YMCAs and recreational spaces. It won't be exclusive for females, but we know that the female popularity in terms of strength training has grown incredibly over the last decade. However, many females like the opportunity to do these type of exercises, not in a large setting, but rather more discreet setting. And so that is a space that we've been able to carve out here and be intentional about that. When you go into the gymnasium is a full-size gymnasium, as well as the opportunity to drop down a curtain and have 2 programs going on either side of it. It'll have lines for the four most popular sports in terms of basketball, volleyball, pickleball, and futsal. We do, besides just having open gym, we also plan to have a program for intramurals to bring those back to Columbus State. So that'll be an important aspect of this and engagement with the students. We'll obviously have leagues for many of our members. And then just depending on the population that we see in the downtown community, there's opportunities for some youth recreation sports to house in here as well if we see a large number of youth being a part of it. Just to the north side of the gymnasium, in the gray space, one of the unique things about this space is our locker rooms and the fact that you are not going to see dedicated traditional locker rooms that you see in some of your older facilities. Locker rooms, especially in RYs that we see today and across the country, are getting less and less use, and that's probably been that trend for over 2 or 3 decades. And instead, you've seen lots of Ys build changing rooms or individual changing rooms where either a small family could go in there, or an individual could go in there. And so because of the setting that we have, we decided to go all in on that. And rather than dedicate any space for traditional locker rooms, we have 8 changing rooms here that allow individuals to go in, just change your shoes or your shirt or your clothes or something like that and go work out. In addition to each one of those rooms, we'll also have a shower and some toiletries for individuals that will work out prior to work or during the workday and need to clean up and go back to work. So that's what that space is. When you go into the pool, obviously in the light blue, you're going to be, you'll see a 4-lane lap pool. We think that lap swimming is going to be incredibly popular in a downtown community. And so we definitely wanted to offer that opportunity in a 4-lane lap pool. We'll also envision programs such as swim lessons with the childcare and having a learn to swim program, shallow and deep water fitness classes take place in here. And then we've also carved out space for a dry sauna and a hot tub to be on the pool deck, which is nice not only from a convenience standpoint, but also from a safety aspect that our lifeguards can continually watch that. When you go out of the pool area, back to those same rooms that we talked about previously and that were flex rooms in terms of childcare, when they're not acting as a flex space for childcare, they will act as group exercise programs or group exercise rooms for our traditional members. And the fact that we have 2 of them are important. That allows us the opportunity to have both a high impact and a low impact class. That way we're serving all levels of fitness at any given time. You go to the next slide. When you go up the stairs in the elevator towards the west side of the building, you're immediately landing on another large fitness area. This area will have probably the best features with the glass walls on the west and the south side of downtown Columbus. And so we envision this place to be sort of like a cardio loft and lined with cardio equipment around the windows to give just great views and take all the distractions away that you're actually running on a treadmill or elliptical. We have a stretching area to the north side of that'll also be in this fitness center space. And then we envision some level of kiosk in the middle of it to sort of spur member and staff engagement. And then finally, the last piece of it, right at the top of the steps in the elevator, we also have a walking running track. It is 3 dedicated lanes. And they encompass this both on the south side. There's windows that you can have an opportunity to see outside, and on the north side, it's sort of open air, so you have opportunity to see visuals of all the facility and all the activity going on. And then I believe 10 laps around would equal 1 mile to give you an understanding of the size of this. So, all in all, just in terms of the design, we had 2 large groups in mind. One, this is about serving the students, right? And our most intent was to be able to serve the opportunity to serve the students. And we think we've been able to create that. But we also know Ys serve 5 generations every day. And our opportunity to serve the downtown community, both from a resident standpoint and a worker standpoint, is obviously incredibly important for us. And so that all those thinking really went into the design of this.
What are the exterior screened yard? Is that, what is that? It's like on the roof?
So I'll have Moody Nolan come up and go over that here in just a second.
A question about your programs.
Yeah.
Now I understand that it is for Columbus State students. However, in the evenings, you're probably there's not another Y, let's say not even Italian Village, Victorian Village, and you have a lot of families there.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, as you expand, would you consider childcare for those families if they come in the evening? I know the childcare right now is for the students, but particularly from a revenue generating standpoint and for operations, are you considering that as well?
I'm so glad you brought that up because I failed to mention that same childcare site will also act as child watch to traditional YMCA members. So they'll have the opportunity to also drop their child off there. The only difference is they're going to be in a licensed program, so they probably won't notice a difference. It's just going to be a higher level of quality than what they may get in some of our suburban Ys, but they'll have access to all that as well. So child watch was what we do in our traditional Ys, and child care, it'll all be encompassed as one. So thank you for asking that.
Thanks, Gary. If I could go to the next slide, Nolan. I'll ask Brian and Howard, one of the two, I guess it'd be Brian. Brian with Moody Nolan to come up and speak through the next couple slides on the exterior. But what we're proposing is a mixture of really strong building materials, so brick, a lot of metal panels, and a significant amount of glazing and glass. On the first floor, we are proposing glass where it makes sense. And obviously there are areas of the building where having a lot of glass doesn't make as much sense. So as an example, in the gymnasium, obviously we're not having as much first floor glass. I think the standard is, I think it's 60% between 2 feet and 10 feet of the first floor is glazing. I think we're at 50%, but obviously have a significant amount of glazing then on the second floor. And so certainly are pretty close to what the standard would call for. And again, I'll let Brian kind of walk through the exterior of the building.
Thanks. All right, I'm Brian Sell, principal and project designer at Moody Nolan again. So yeah, Zach hits it right on the head. Transparency in these rec centers and everywhere is key. We want people seeing what's going on in the rec center, and we also want people seeing out. And we've got some great views. And the running track is one of those opportunities, sort of start giving us clear story lighting, clear story glazing, in that gymnasium, and a lot of it. And really on the facade, you'll see that is a continuous kind of movement around the building, right? We want to instill this feeling of movement in the facade. It's big building, but we are using those. There's really two materials: that ground floor base of strong brick. That brick will come to you with, it'll be some relation to brick on the other projects at Columbus State. So we'll have and that makes a lot of sense. And then instead of having, then the top building, with that, the part that's really moving is metal siding, is concealed fastener metal panels. And so what we strove to do is keep that transparency continuous. So you see the kind of ebb and flow of activity in the building. And this really directly reflects that top floor plan where you see the racetrack, the running track kind of continuing through into the becoming fitness area, which drops into 2-story space. And then we have the upper workout loft. And then here these two elevations are a sense of daycare elevation to the east, and to the north, the ever important north Longview connection to campus, right? This is the Longview we're maintaining, and you'll see in future master plans, studies and landscape design. We want a clear viewway to that entry, that front porch of the Y. You see those gradated windows. That is clear story in the pool, and that is as you're running on the racetrack, we have glass on the pool side, so you can literally see all the way through the building. So these are very flat sort of elevations. Is probably more helpful to look at. Yeah.
Nolan and I gotcha.
So there's that view we were talking about, that long view from campus on the left, right? That's the view we want. We really want that to be a welcoming, big front porch kind of experience. And the other view to the right is another long view that's important to us, and that's from Cleveland and Long. That's sort of how we will experience the building along the Long Street side. We really want you to know what this building is all about and what's going on, but we also want people in the building having these amazing views of downtown and this future green space, right? Which is really important to us. And the next elevations show a farther view. Actually, that's coming out of Ohio Health Hall, how we would see that front entrance to the YMCA. And then here's the daycare entrance on the right.
So you asked about where it talked about screen. That is on top of the first floor where a lot of the rooftop mechanicals are then screened from view. So that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Screening for stuff.
Yeah. So the goal is to incorporate the panels, the metal siding. You will not know what is screen wall and what is sort of building wall.
I thought it was like, cage to run around it or something. I don't know.
No, that's not
We're using
an extra daycare facility.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Will you go back 1 minute? And so we would welcome any questions that members had.
I think that all the elevations look, really wonderful and, really exciting and very dynamic. I think the east elevation where you do have the screened wall, and I don't know, maybe from the street, you'd never see it the way you do in an elevation, but the scale looks rather high and maybe you need it that high. But I'm wondering, instead of it maybe being like a solid screening, maybe there's, as you study it, maybe there's a way to give it some interest or some motion. I don't know, maybe
Mhm.
the panels are a little open or something, so it doesn't look static and yet still serve the purpose that you want it for. Because that looks like, it looks kind of disproportional to the first level there, to me. But again,
Right.
you might never see it that way
Right.
in reality, because you're looking up, you're
Are
not.
you talking about where it says east, or are you talking about where it says north and on the left side?
I'm looking at the top one east and
Okay.
then that large portion there. So even if you kept it that way, maybe there's a way to work with the materials
Yeah.
to give it
Mhm.
more of a sense of interest or motion, or because it does seem to be a very dominant portion of the facade.
So it's a really good call out. We will certainly go back and look at that. I would just, part of it is that's on the east side
Mhm.
and it's on Long Street. So you're traveling eastbound. So unless you're walking, you're really not going to see that side of the building. It's also screened by the large parking structure right next to it.
Okay,
And what you can't really see here in this
it's step back.
is if you go to, Nolan, will you advance to the, actually to the renderings? So one more.
Yeah. If you go.
So what you also don't see here too is that is also where the outdoor play area is going to be.
I
So
see.
there will be 8-foot arborvitae around the fenced in play area with some straight shade structure and some, that's where some of the outdoor play area is. So that view is if literally you were standing with your back against the 3-story parking deck.
Mhm.
And so, but we certainly will look at what that expansive wall is and see if we can't
Okay.
do some
And I just had,
modifications to it.
thank you. And I just had a couple of other
Yeah.
little comments since it's schematic and this is the time,
Yeah.
One thing also was, I know you mentioned in the packet that some of the blue accents are vinyl. It said vinyl or painted, and I wasn't really sure what that was referring to.
Yeah, I think you see that sort of on the image on the right, you see that sort of gray Y that goes over the brick and over the metal panel. That we're investigating that, and vinyl is one option, like a building wrap. So we could literally wrap the brick and it'd be subtle. These are like kind of subtle. You see it from one direction, it might disappear kind of effects. We want to do the metal and brick. So it's like a sort of shadow, if you will. And we're going to look at different ways to do that. Vinyl is one way, and it's removable, and so, you know, not, wouldn't be permanent. Then there's painting of the panels and things like that, so.
And I would encourage just something that does have more of the permanent, because this is such a beautiful, high-quality building.
yeah.
So, you know, anything that you would decide is the most durable and gets the effect you want. And then my last comment is that I do understand, you know, you do definitely have portions of the building that functionally don't need windows or even clear,
right.
you know, maybe it has clear story on the second level. But maybe just, and I like the contrast that you do have some solid spaces because you have a lot of opening. But maybe just in terms of what the brick looks like in terms of texture, tone, if there's a subtle pattern, you know, maybe study that and see, you know, how do you still keep it solid, but give it visual interest. And because it is on the ground floor and it's prominent, so how it looks deliberate and like it's a contributing design element. And, you know, and then study the relationship of the first and the second level.
Yeah,
You know,
that,
just-
that area that Nolan has his cursor over is an area that we are working with
Okay.
Moody and with the landscape architect. Again, both how that the brick can be intentional, but also how the landscaping then interacts with the building and with the streetscape.
Okay.
And so that's a really good call out. It is something that we're working on. We'll have more information when we come back next month.
And the last comment is that you're developing that area, you know, you have to the west, you're saying there's a park, and then to the north, you have existing parking, but it's future development. And then you have this, I think it's called an OCAT building.
Yeah.
To the
yeah.
northwest. So maybe as you develop this project, think about the development all around and how whatever you're proposing, let's say OCAT, you know, where would you think the entrance would be? How is that building oriented? How does that interact with that or the park or the future development? So that might influence some of your long-term thinking and how this building interacts with the new development.
It's almost as if you have our note cards. Exactly what you're describing is the process we're going through right now. In 2022, Columbus State Community Partners, which is Columbus State's real estate affiliate, solicited an RFQ for a master development team to develop this site. And at that time, the partnership of Daimler and Moody Nolan was selected. And so the nice part is the Ohio Center for Advanced Technology, the YMCA, the Green Space, future development, when that comes forward, will all be designed by the team of Moody Nolan. And so we are thinking about it holistically to be able to have, so, you know, how does flow, you know, through the site? How does the green space interact with, you know, these two different buildings? How does that play with future development? We don't know what the future development will be, which is why we're just showing existing condition today. But as I joked with Nolan and I are going to become best friends. You will see me and certain members of our team probably every month for the next 6 months. We anticipate obviously coming back for the YMCA project. We will be back very soon for the automotive technology facility. We'll be back in the next couple months for the Ohio Center for Advanced Technology, OCAT. We will be back then for the green space and what I'll call the super site. So you will have an opportunity on each component of the totality of the development at Columbus State and specifically for this block. The YMCA, moving the YMCA forward today without all of those other details, all those other projects, you know, some of them are lagging 3 months, some of them are 6 months. The YMCA, we, per Ohio Department of Higher Ed, we need to have the YMCA open fall of August of 2028, which means we need to break ground no later than, he'll say April, I'll say March of next year. And so that is why, rather than bringing you all of the details for the entire site, we're going to bring you each individual piece and be able to demonstrate at each meeting how it fits back into the bigger picture. So that is something that we spend a lot of time thinking about how this is one site, but 5 different projects. with 5 different timelines and 5 different funding sources. And so, that is what we are working to do, is to have this holistic approach, but have individual projects that you all will be able to evaluate.
Well, thank you. And it's
So
a
when we
beautiful project.
Spoke to you, right, when you were doing the Ohio Health
Mhm.
building, there was that question about your master plan.
Yep.
And you say that Daimler and Moody Newland did the master plan in 22.
Just for the 6-acre parking lot.
Okay.
So yeah, just for clarity, so the master developer that Community Partners selected in 22 was just for the 6-acre parking lot. The college's capital plan, has really evolved since 2020 and issue 21. And so that is why, candidly, I'm doing the presentation to be able to make sure that the commission and others understand what the vision is for the totality of the campus, and how these are all interrelated instead of just individual siloed projects.
That's what we asked the last time, as far as particularly since you have all the parking lots. And what was your vision at the time? And that this explains. So thank you.
Well, we try to listen. And so, I mean,
Not everybody who comes here does.
well, we only like to make mistakes once. And so we listened to that feedback that you all gave on Ohio Health Hall, and certainly have wanted to be more intentional about giving the totality of the vision, again, rather than individual projects, wanting to also give you the opportunity to evaluate individual projects while understanding the context. And so that is where I think we are working really hard to make sure that you all understand that it is academic, purpose-built academic facilities, but it is also the non-academic barrier and the community projects that we're stacking hands with partners to move forward. Childcare, green space in the area, affordable housing. I mean, these are all components to make downtown more vibrant, and in this neighborhood of downtown.
Well, thank you.
It's so amazing to see those giant parking lots gradually filling up with just campus,
wait.
which is what was promised, many, many years ago when they were created. But I hate to ask this question, where are those people going to park?
This is gonna
Stop asking those, then stop asking those questions. Today, Columbus State is overparked. Today, we have access to about 4,500 parking spots. As we continue to take surface parking offline, we are in the process of evaluating what our needs will be in the short term and the long term, and are crafting solutions for our Board of Trustees for this year, for them to evaluate options. The 6-acre parking lot, as I mentioned, is 800 spots. When all of the development, including future development, done, it probably removes 600. Automotive takes off another 150, and Ohio Health Hall has already removed 150. So, we are with no new construction, we are good from a parking standpoint. As we continue to take surface parking offline, we are evaluating options. It's a question that I get asked on a daily or weekly basis by faculty, staff, and students. So ensuring that we have the right.
Lot looks full on a day, so people think, there aren't any other places. I don't know if the garage is fully utilized or not.
The garage.
We have capacity in the garage. It's part of the reason that the partnership with the YMCA works really well.
Yeah.
It's a reason that, when you all approved Opportunity Point, if you recall, that had less than 20 surface parking lot spaces on its site because we have a shared parking agreement with them. We are getting much better at understanding when our peak time demand is versus other uses, and being able to share an asset to the betterment of downtown.
Good. It's great.
I love it. Modern, forward thinking, a value add to downtown. I'm excited. I'm going to join.
Excellent. Well, good.
One thing I'd encourage you guys to do is look at this connection.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're gonna have 400 or 500 kids going back and forth across Washington to the parking garage, then getting with DPS and enhancing that
Yes.
crosswalk, getting them to focus on, you know, the kids that are wild and not grabbing onto mom and dad's hands, you know.
We don't allow those ones to come to the childcare. But yes, I mean, that is, so what you see here, and there'll be more detail, is, you know, there is an entrance plaza and the connectivity, and it is something that we've, as we talk about in the whole development, what Washington will need to be versus what it is today is certainly something that's on our list. That picture is not a good one, but we'll get better.
Yeah. The site blow up is probably a better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yep, that one.
That.
That one gives you a sense of kind of where we're, again, working to. But yes, your point is very well taken, that, again, understanding the actual infrastructure. Yep. That's a good call out.
Gonna get a lot more traffic. Yeah.
Just slightly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the feedback, and again, I'll see you next month.
Any comments from the audience or questions? Okay, well, thank you very much. We'll see you soon. Our last case is also a conceptual application, and it's 62 East Broad Street. Can the applicants please come up?
Oh, these are the crosses.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, before you start, we'll swear you in. So everybody that will be speaking on this case, if you would like to raise your right hand, do you swear and affirm the testimony you are about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, thank you. And can you give your name and affiliation to Nolan, please?
Now it's on. My name is Brian Fox. I am legal counsel for the applicant, the Center for Christian Virtue.
My name is Oliver Holtzberry. I'm a day-night sign company. Excuse me, I'm a day-night sign company.
Ed Stayers, Chief Operating Officer for Center for Christian Virtue.
Okay, thank you very much. And Nolan will first introduce the application.
Yeah, this is 62 East Broad Street. This application is a resubmittal of a previously denied application. 62 East Broad Street is a 5-story, single occupancy building located across from the Ohio State House on East Broad Street, approximately 62 feet in height. The building houses the lobbying organization, the Center for Christian Virtue. The applicant seeks approval from the Downtown Commission on the addition of 3 aluminum crosses affixed to the top of the parapet fronting East Broad Street. The work detailed are the 2 flanking crosses on either end will be 12 feet tall and 8 feet wide. Each cross will sit on a 6-foot, oops, I apologize. Whoops. Each cross will sit directly on the parapet. The same with the middle crosses as well. The middle cross will be 16 feet, 10 inches tall, and 8 feet wide. The only change from the previous application is that the crosses will now be affixed to the top of the parapet instead of on a raised structure. City Code Section 3303.07 defines graphics as a communication designed to be seen from any public place utilizing letters, words, numbers, symbols, pictures, color, illumination, geometric or non-geometric shapes or planes, in whole or part, including all structural components. As such, the Downtown Design Guidelines, adopted by City Council by Ordinance Number 1532-2013 and carrying the force of law, the guidelines state for rooftop structures and uses that commercial advertising graphics are not appropriate for rooftop spaces. That's taken from the guidelines on page 27. The city graphics code further states that the purpose of the graphics code is to reduce visual clutter by controlling the number, size, and location of private signs, and emphasizes regulating signs readable by motorists operating in the public right-of-way, except in those areas designated as areas of special graphics control, such as the Downtown Commission's geographic jurisdiction and Architectural Review Commission areas which emphasize pedestrian orientation. And that's from City Code Section 3375.02F and 3375.043B. The guidelines state that the size of wall signs should be proportional to the building to which it is attached. The guidelines further provide that buildings should not be dominated by graphics, crowded or cluttered graphic arrangements, and crowded or cluttered graphic arrangements should be avoided. And that's from the guidelines, page 12. Staff notes that large rooftop signs are typically located on multi-story towers and should be proportional to building height and mass, as well as compatible with the building's architecture. The building height of 62 East Broad Street is approximately 62 feet, compared to the middle section cross height extending above the roof parapet by approximately 16 feet 10 inches, a ratio of more than 4:1. Staff finds that such cross height is disproportionate to the height of the building and accordingly is inconsistent with the guidelines. As such, in the opinion of staff, the proposed crosses would dominate the building to which they are attached in contravention of the guidelines. Further, uplighting is discouraged. The guidelines provide that signs or graphics may be externally or internally illuminated, but should be designed in such a way to minimize light spillage onto adjacent properties. That's from the guidelines on page 12. Further, the use of cut-off fixtures and similar techniques to minimize uplighting is encouraged. The proposed crosses are proposed to be illuminated by lights projecting skyward toward the crosses, which risks light spillage onto adjacent properties, particularly 30 East Broad Street and 88 East Broad Street, which are taller than the building located at 62 East Broad. Lastly, the guidelines state that each ground floor tenant space or building, if single tenant occupancy, should be provided one projecting sign and either one wall sign or awning sign per street frontage. That's from the guidelines on page 13. The guidelines further state that pedestrian-oriented signage is preferred in core districts, and those are named as High Street, 3rd Street, 4th, Broad and Gay Streets, Nationwide Boulevard, and Capitol Square. And those rooftop signs have been approved by commission on building not located within one of the seven previously mentioned core districts. In addition, tower signs that identify the name of the building or tenant are permitted, but those tower signs are typically located on multi-story towers and placed near the roof line and should be proportional to building height and mass, as well as compatible with building architecture. Because the proposed work is located on Capitol Square, its location on a non-tower or skyline rooftop in the downtown core is not preferred. The proposal is generally inconsistent with the downtown design guidelines with respect to the rooftop location, number of graphics proposed, and uplighting. Further, the application is inconsistent with the guidelines due to the location of the sign being proposed along the Broad Street corridor in the downtown core. Additionally, the application is inconsistent with the guidelines due to the size of the graphic being disproportionate to the size of the building, with the tallest cross extending 16 feet 10 inches in height above the roof parapet compared to a building height of approximately 62 feet. Staff encourage the applicant to consider integrating the project concept into a wall or projecting sign that is more pedestrian oriented in nature. Thank you.
Okay, good morning to all the commission members. Yeah, as you well know, we're here for this conceptual review, and while we won't be arriving at any official action or the granting of a COA, I do hope that this conversation is productive and helpful. The project is 3 non-commercial religious crosses proposed for the upper wall and parapet area of the single occupancy building used by the Center for Christian Virtue. We have returned conceptually because the April discussion identified concerns about rooftop appearance, scale, quantity, pedestrian orientation, and integration with the building. The revised drawing addresses integration directly, and CCV is also, the applicant has prepared a sworn explanation of why the elevated placement is part of its religious expression rather than an interchangeable storefront sign. We are not asking this commission to resolve a constitutional claim today. Rather, we are asking for 6 concrete answers that we think might be helpful in moving forward. 1, whether the wall or parapet attachment addresses the freestanding rooftop concern. 2, what dimensions and design refinements the commission could support. 3, what objective lighting information the commission requires. 4, how the city classifies the work under the code. 5, what complete package the commission wants to be born out of this conversation. And 6, whether satisfying those conditions could earn the commission's support. Within that framework, Oliver Holtzberry will walk you through the current drawing and distinguish it from April's proposal.
Oh, excuse me. I want
Yes.
to ask you, so you will go through your proposal and then would you like to go over each one of the 6 individually, the 6?
I would. It would.
It's fine.
I have it bookended so that I'll address it with my closing. But Oliver is going to present. My plan was, and then I was going to have Mr. Stiers also present, and then I was going to circle back. That's
Okay, great. Yeah, I just want to make sure that we have that you get all 6, that you can express all 6 questions again and that we can address each one.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You just decide when you want to do that and let us know.
Okay,
Okay.
will do. Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
Yeah, I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about the design and some of the changes we made since we were here last time. What we basically did was we moved them up and we put some fasteners that would be in the back of the parapet wall to make it more consistent with a wall mounted sign rather than just a roof mounted sign. So we're trying to add some of those aspects to it as well from the comments at last meeting. We also changed the color of the crosses. There were some comments about how it went with the building architecturally. So we wanted it to match the balcony. We thought that would allow it to match the architecture of the building better. So we've chosen like a bronze metallic right now. It's very hard to depict it on the design page, so it may look a little gray. But those are aspects we could provide a sample or something like that to show it more accurately. But our plan would be to match the balcony's color. We would do a paint match of it, and it would be like a bronze metallic. Other than that, the crosses themselves, the largest one in the center is 16 feet high. The 2 ones on the sides are 12 feet high. The size of this building is pretty large. So we felt to give it some visibility in the downtown area, they need to be at least this size. With some of the pictures and kind of scaling we've done so far, we feel like it's an adequate size to make it visible, especially when you get down, you know, and you're on the sidewalk at an angle a bit, it can be hard to see. So I think that size is sufficient. The details of this too, obviously it's conceptual today. We would provide, you know, stamped engineering as the building department would require it. And if there's any concern about the light fixture, the external light fixture needing some shielding on the front, those are all things we could implement in fairly easily to basically deal with any of those concerns. And I guess we're just looking today to see if some of these changes or sizing would work more with the integration, kind of some of the architectural concerns that were raised the first time, and just kind of some clear direction of those aspects if there are any concerns, but.
All right. And Mr. Stires? I'll switch it.
And feel free to bring up, if you want to pull up the chair as well, that's fine. You can all sit at the table. Sure.
So as we mentioned a moment ago, I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Center for Christian Virtue. I am speaking from my personal knowledge of CCV and its use of 62 East Broad Street. I also want to say thank you to all of you. It's my understanding that your positions are voluntary, and we are grateful for your time and your service that's to our community. So I just wanted to share that as well. CCV is a public policy ministry. The building is not merely used as office space, but for ministry activities such as prayer, worship, and engagement with public officials from a Christian perspective. The crosses are not considered advertisement. The crosses are for product or not for product or commercial tenants. They contain no commercial property. They are religious artwork and architectural expression. Aaron Baer has explained, who's our president of CCV, under oath, that the crosses communicate that CCV, its ministry, and its work are under the authority of Jesus Christ. The crosses on the State House, their locations are very important. It's vital to this ministry. The elevated placement allows the crosses to function as a public religious witness to civic institutions and to our community and to the people that CCV serves. Moving the design to the storefront scale wall sign would not communicate the same relationship. Again, as we mentioned a moment ago, the crosses at the top of the ministry signify that Christ is the foundation, the authority, and the hope of all who gather there. At the same time, CCV is open to reasonable changes in attachment, finishes, spacing, lighting, and dimensions that preserve the elevated religious message. We're appreciative of your time and your thoughts on that as well. In addition to that, Aaron's affidavit is offered to document the sincerity of the non-commercial purposes of the position. It does not ask the commission to accept a structural or lighting conclusion.
Thank you.
And I would note for the record that Mr. Bear would have been here, but he is on a America 250 vacation with his family. He's in Boston and in Philadelphia, kind of doing that whole East Coast thing. The Columbus Code uses graphic as a broad umbrella term. Section 3303.07 includes signs, architectural decoration, murals, and sculpture. But that broad definition does not answer whether a graphics code permit is required. Section 3303.19 excludes architectural decoration from the definition of sign, and Section 337508D states that architectural decorations, murals, and sculptures are not regulated by the graphics code when they contain no advertising or commercial copy. CCV's position is therefore that the crosses are non-commercial architecture, decoration, and private religious art, not commercial signs or advertisements. Section 3359.25 addresses graphics that require a permit under Section 3375. So if Section 337508D applies, then that graphics permit trigger does not. That does not mean the commission has no role. Of course, we would not suggest that. Section 335907 separately requires a COA for exterior construction requiring a building permit and for activity requiring zoning clearance. The applicant understands the critical role that this commission plays in that regard in order to review structural safety, attachment materials, dimensions, lighting, spill, and compatibility. Our request is that the city apply the correct classification and objective design criteria without treating religious artwork as commercial advertising or forcing it into a template, a tenant sign template. The constitutional and statutory authorities reinforce that approach. Religious expression receives the same protection as secular expression. Land use rules involving individualized assessment must not impose a substantial burden without the showing required by RLUIPA, and religious use must receive equal treatment under the zoning criteria that actually matter. Those principles do not eliminate design review. They counsel a careful, neutral, least burdensome path focused on legitimate design and safety interests. We would be grateful if the commission would help answer 6 questions. And let me say this as a separate and an aside. I fully appreciate, when I'm not representing this client, I have other clients that are across the religious and political spectrum. I have provided legal counsel to zoning commissions, BZAs, county governments, city governments, townships, villages of every stripe. And I understand that the cross can be provocative to some. For some, it's obviously for the applicant, it's a substantial religious symbol and a defining symbol for their work. As much as I understand that everybody on the commission may not immediately jive with what that symbol is in their life, I'm not asking you to do that. And I get how hard that might be. What I've also experienced in representing zoning commissions and folks across the state is that most of the people who sign up to volunteer on an early Tuesday morning do so because they earnestly want to do a good job. And so I believe that's the case. And I am here hopeful that we can engage in a dialogue and we can try to arrive at some sort of path forward, some sort of roadmap of design that the commission is willing to approve, and then that the applicant is comfortable with going forward. So the 6 questions. First, does the revised wall parapet attachment address the appearance of a freestanding roof graphic issue? Second, what height, spacing, support, or finish changes are necessary for supporting that? Third, what objective illumination limits and studies would be helpful in submitting that to the commission? Fourth, what code classification and permit path does staff intend to use? Fifth, what drawings and reports are required for a complete request for action here? And then 6, if those materials satisfy the stated conditions, could the commission support a revised concept after that collaborative process is engaged in? We want to leave today, we want to walk out of here with not necessarily a design roadmap. I think that's unrealistic with this conceptual review. But what might be helpful are some coordinates, some targets for us to aim for as we try to work this application through. Ready for your questions.
Okay.
I've given this a lot of thought since the last time we were here, and I think is it a sign, is it a advertisement issue is kind of moot. I think if this is a church, this thing is more like the steeple with a cross on top of it, right? I mean, it's a symbol of what you're doing. And so I think that whether it's a sign or not, whether it's a rooftop sign or a parapet sign or a wall sign, I don't think it is a sign. I think I agree with you on that, which means this falls under the part of our purview where we review the design review of things attached to a building, right? Parts of a building and the applicability of that design to the existing, in this case, the existing structure. So scale and lighting, all those things, I think we set the sign issue aside. It's a religious structure with a religious symbol. And what we have to do is figure out how to make that compatible, architecturally compatible with downtown and Capitol Square, all of that.
Yeah.
That's not exactly any of your questions, but I think.
Well,
I
that's
think-
helpful though.
I think it simplifies the issue somewhat for us. It's not a sign.
I agree with that. And I've also, like I'm sure everybody else here has given it a lot of thought. I think that when we look at our design guidelines that work with the code, they work with that and supplement it. I think that in the Broad Street corridor, we look at two things. We want something that is pedestrian oriented. And we also want something that is within scale of the primary structure. So when we look at this, we feel, I mean, at least I feel that it's not pedestrian oriented, and the 1/3 to 1/4 size of the building is too large. Now, that's just my point of view. That could be that if other people could feel differently. But what I think is very important is, I think, and I'm sure we're all in agreement with this, that the cross is extremely important for this organization. And it is something that for you is the soul, your soul. So you want to be able to express that, and you want to feel that other people understand the sincerity and the importance of it, because it's you. So I think we all understand that no matter what our religious backgrounds are, and I know everybody here is an open-minded, very good person that always wants the very best for everyone. And I've seen that every time we've ever met. So I think because it's schematic, maybe we could just all put our heads together, and with the paramount issue of what makes you comfortable, what's going to make you feel proud and comfortable and excited about your organization and the crosses, work within the guidelines and come up with something that you would feel comfortable with. And I think maybe looking at it and thinking, how can we integrate this onto the building more, where it's prominent, where it's elegant, and where you feel very proud of it, and where you feel that people will be able to see it and understand it, and symbolize everything that you believe in and cherish. So maybe that doesn't answer the question.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
So,
that's-
and I think too, like, let's say question 4, the code clarification. I think Bob is right. I understand the graphics covers a lot of things. And then underneath that, you have architectural decoration, and you also have sign. And architectural decoration is exempted from the classic graphics criteria. However, our guidelines supplement that and give us direction especially in certain areas like Broad Street, or that, scale where we have discretion on it, or at a Broad Street corridor, how important it is for us to have pedestrian presence. So I think that might answer 4. And then 1 and 2 and 3 are height. So I think in our code, we don't really have, like, we can't tell you, 15 feet is okay, 16 is too tall. But I think the 1 to 3 or the 1 to 4, it's like between 1 to 3 and 1 to 4 ratio, that does seem very tall for us, and with the building, with the proportion of the building. So, but of course, other people should speak about how they feel, and we should be back and
Yeah.
forth
And
discussion.
if I could just pull one of the threads that you brought up, which is what Robert initially touched on, which is what is this? And in rewriting zoning codes, often the first time I'm sitting down with either the city council or the planning commission, I try to acknowledge the inherent weakness of words. Okay, words are just packages for ideas. And when you're putting together and assembling a zoning code, it's not easy as much as folks think it is. it's hard to anticipate every conceivable circumstance. It's hard to anticipate every potential applicant. And it's hard to capture with some of those words that we include in our legislation, whether it be a zoning code or otherwise, every eventuality, right? And so especially at this stage, I don't want to I want to do my job as an attorney. I want to, make sure that as we go forward, that I'm putting all the things in the record that I need to, so that, so that I'm documenting and protecting the record. But I'm less interested in what words and what packages we put on this. And I'm at this stage, especially, way more interested in what helps us proceed forward.
Mhm. Well, what does everyone else think and feel, and what do you think? We have some very creative people here. What do you think would be a good solution or a direction that we could all work toward? What does everybody feel about this? Or the changes that have been made since last time? How do you feel about those? The proportion, just whatever you think.
I'll just add, I wasn't present at the April, I was out. But when I saw the packet, I would just tell you my first gut reaction was like, whoa, when I looked at the portfolio. So with that, as I'm processing everything I'm hearing and all the feedback, I do lean towards the comment about the proportion. That was my initial gut, again, was not here.
So you're like, you were jarred by the proportion of,
Yes,
okay.
without knowing any of the background, I wasn't
Understood.
taught. But as I've read and then heard your commentary, heard my peers' commentary, for me, it still goes back to that proportion, just seems a little off for me. So I'll add that. And I don't know if anyone could help me. What were some of the other commentary or feedback of significance from April that was present?
It was a scale issue.
It was the scale, okay. Okay.
It was how it was attached. It was the material.
Okay.
This wasn't supposed to be see-through.
Okay.
You like this?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, in terms of, at least from what I'm thinking, is that
Okay.
I'm with Bob, you're adding to the building in an architectural way. And if you're adding to the building in an architectural way, it seems to me the scale's wrong. Adding a 20-foot element on top of the building. And so I feel that it doesn't have the proportions wrong. I think the location is suspect. I think, above the parapet wall, I think that it just feels out of place.
Mhm.
I don't think the symbolism is wrong.
Sure.
I think that where it resides and the scale of it doesn't make sense.
Well, what scale would I guess, what would be an agreeable scale to the commission? And I appreciate the inherent limitations of being able to look at a picture and go, this feet tall, right? But what, as you're seeing it, and I'm interested very much in that gut reaction that Sonia, you shared. What is your gut reaction as to what would make this more aesthetic, a better aesthetic fit from your perspective?
Was there ever any consideration to incorporate the process onto the building? Like the area where those two windows are? Was there any thought in that?
There was, but I would say that the symbolism is very important to the applicant, that the cross be on top of the building and that it symbolize that everything that they do is falling beneath that goal of promoting the cross.
Oh, can you say that last part again so I understand?
Absolutely, yeah. That the symbolism of the location was very important to the applicant. And if you look at the last 2 pages of the brief that I handed, that contains Mr. Bear's affidavit, and he kind of lays that out, but that there's an importance as to the location of the cross on the building to symbolize for his organization, for his employees, and for the folks across the street at the State House that they customarily work with is that the cross is above all and the authority for what they're trying to promote.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'd like to make a couple comments too about it. There were some preliminary discussions with some city officials just about if there's something like that we could do to get more along the lines of something that the commission could agree on. And that was brought up. It's mounting it basically to the top of the building. But we had some concerns about those secondary crosses. Basically, the windows are in the way. And then we're concerned about how that would fit in that space above the windows with the cross without starting to lose its shape and character. And then there were some discussions about like mounting it to the building and it rises above it. But then if you kind of look at it, if you can envision it, it kind of looks like a plus sign and not so much a cross. And then we kind of messed around with like, what if you did some type of projecting sign that, because when you say pedestrian oriented, that's usually, in the downtown area, a lot of people have blade projecting signs that are very pedestrian oriented, but doing that with a cross like this, it has some challenges as well. So we've kind of tried to put our heads together, and like mounting on the roof really seems like the ideal situation, because we have so much room to work with up there. And I have seen it approved before. I represented Wolf's Ridge Brewing before when we had a rooftop sign approved for them, which is a one-story building. It's not like a Chase Tower or anything. So I've seen it done before. And we have tried to come up with some creative things design-wise. And I just wanted to share that as we kind of put our heads together here.
Can staff ask a quick question? Sorry to interrupt. I know you talked about the meetings being had before about bringing it down, and you mentioned the windows would be in the way. Is there a significance of having one cross as opposed to three? Is just curious for the sake of conversation, for the sake of compromise. Is it three crosses or nothing, or what's the goal?
I think the three crosses is born out of an artistic expression that was created for this. It's common symbolism in most Christian circles. The famous scene of the Jesus pardoning the thief on the cross beside him is a key component to that.
Thank you.
So what you want the three together, you want the larger cross and the two on either side together. That's the concept.
That is the concept,
Okay.
yes.
I mean, I have a couple of ideas. I don't know if they're any good, but okay, so, you have, and we'll get back to I know you want something on the top, but this is just in addition. You have that balcony there. And maybe on that balcony, you have a larger one and then two smaller ones next to it. It's in the middle of the building, like, do you want me to show you what I mean?
I think do you mean
this
like
point. So, like, an idea. I would have to go set. Maybe you have a larger one here and then two smaller ones. Or maybe you have, but I know you want to have the three, maybe you have one here and one here, very, elegant. Or like we were saying, maybe, but one here, but then you have the problem you want all three. I think if it were on top of the building, it would have to be significantly smaller, and that might not give you the prominence you want. And then the other thing I'm thinking, but is, if you build, this is really thinking outside the box, but if you built some type of, I don't know, an additional piece on top of here that maybe, you could have a smaller cross, but it would be high up and very prominent, and maybe two other ones somehow, but then you'd have, more of a structure up here. So those are some of the ideas, like maybe working with the sides and maybe working over here or maybe working up here. But I understand, like, if you had it half or something like that, maybe it would look truncated and be confusing. Like you were saying, if it were mounted partially here. So those are some ideas. I don't know if any of those thoughts make you feel like this is something you could be comfortable with or feel it represents what you're trying to achieve or the passion you have for the organization and for the cross.
I do think, yeah, I think where you're getting at, something more integrated into the architecture. I mean, I had initial thought too, just, about the scale and how, works with the building, just, some questions around that. I was also thinking as well, like, oh, what if it is, connected to the building, mounted some way, but bringing that prominence through like lighting or materiality or something else. Yeah, I'm not sure what scale or proportion would make it look more integrated. Maybe there is more of a additional, I don't want to like add more scope, but some like additional parapet that makes it feel more integrated. Because if you actually look at, model this or render it with the supports, and you'll be able to like see those in this view. I think with the support structure, it will start to detract a bit from the visual of the cross. So I think that's something to consider as well. With the tall supports like in the back of it. I think you would see it in this view. But yeah, just initial thoughts here.
Thank you.
Judy.
I don't really have anything else to say that hasn't been repeated already.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. So I think what everyone is saying is that as it is now, the proportion is too large on the roof.
Mhm.
But maybe, one idea, depending on what your budget is, if you built a parapet or something and designed the crosses within that or partially on that, that could work. Perhaps you could get, I don't know, you could have somebody design it for you, look into it. I mean, it would be more of an investment, but it might be something that long run you're extremely happy with and feel very comfortable with. And then otherwise you could look at maybe, well, what would the smallest proportion be that you'd be comfortable with it on the roof? And then maybe look at ways of integrating it on the building, try different designs and see if anything you feel comfortable with. It seems like it's very important to you that this is as high up as possible, because I want to understand, in other words, like showing people that you're overseeing, that the cross is overseeing, or God is overseeing and protecting people, helping people. Is that, so you really want to have that symbolized, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so, maybe, I don't know, maybe coming up with other ideas that express that to you, for you.
If the number were fewer than.
You mean the number of
3,
crosses?
Yes. Would that alleviate the commission's concern?
You mean if, let's say, you just had the one large
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, the center cross.
For me, it's too large, and it has nothing to do with it being a cross. It's just, I'm looking at it just architecturally. It's too large. I think, and I'm not that keen on I'm not that keen on a rooftop cross with this building because of the shape of it. Usually when you see the crosses on a church on the top, there is, in other words, there's some type of parapet or some type of steeple or something that
There's like a
makes it-
transitional element.
Right, exactly, a transitional element, exactly. So maybe that's what that's perfect. We're looking for a transitional element so that if the cross is up there, it's framed properly and it looks like that's intentional, not like it's this add-on piece.
Makes sense. I guess going forward, how do we workshop this? In order to, you know, to try to make some accommodations that would be palatable to the commission? Is that best directed working through staff? And what's the suggested cadence, I guess?
I can answer that. You kind of have a couple of options. If you want to come back for another conceptual and submit additional materials, it kind of sounds like the commission is wanting to see different iterations of this possible design and different options. So if you're able to provide that at another conceptual, I think that would be very helpful to the commission in integrating, obviously, some of those ideas that were mentioned here. And I'm happy to work with you back and forth on getting those materials together.
Now, because in this meeting, we've talked about it more in depth. I think we have a very good idea of what's important to you and what you're trying to achieve. And I think we'd all, when we're reviewing it, we want to keep that in mind, how important it is for, the location of it, the placement of it. So I think that's good. That would be a good direction. Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate the fact of what, first of all, I want to say thank you for being so gracious through this process. I really appreciate that. And say on behalf of the organization, we do as well. And
Well, you've been very gracious with us too. And we're a community.
yes,
So we help
exactly.
each
Thank
other.
you. Yeah, so we definitely want to find a solution. We definitely, the importance of having the cross on the roof is incredibly significant to us that we share the authority of God, and that's significant to us. So having it on the roof is really important. I believe Oliver has looked into adhering it to that ledge on the top of the building as well, as far as the cross and did that become an option?
I don't know if we've discussed that too much about on the ledge. I know we've moved it
The
up a
wall.
little bit.
It's the wall rather than mounting it to the roof.
Oh, yeah, to the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we could definitely come up with some different iterations. And I think that might help you guys see kind of why we feel strongly about the rooftop. But I think, yeah, if we had some iterations for you to look at, it might help us come to a solution that would work for everyone. We really like this concept, but we hear your concerns, and we'd like, I think, to get something that ultimately we can be proud of and get accomplished. So.
Okay, well, we'll all work toward that, and we'll be very excited to see you come back and to, keep trying to work something that you'll be very comfortable and happy with.
And I know staff has my contact information and my email. To the extent any of you have any suggestions based on what your gut reaction was or things, feel free to send them along.
They would essentially filter those through staff, and I would
fine, too.
contact
Yeah,
you.
of
We don't
course.
want
Yep.
commissioners contacting the
Fair. Yeah,
applicants
yeah, fair.
directly. So,
Yep.
but yes, if there are comments, feel free to send them to me, and I'll be happy to reach out to the applicant.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
Just one clarifying question. We met with Nolan's team before, and you guys were awesome as well. We really appreciate that. One of my takeaways from that was the biggest concern, obviously you've mentioned the size, but other than that it's mounted to the roof. If we were able to adhere it to the wall, like we discussed before, there is a fairly significant sized wall. Would that be the guidelines for approval?
Yeah, I think some of the comments that you've heard from the commissioners, that even if it was brought down a little bit farther and attached directly to the wall, there may be a little more, essentially that it's not so tall. I think that's the biggest. Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
All right. Oh, any comments or questions from the audience? Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks. All right.
Would you like your handouts back?
Sorry?
If you like your handouts
Oh, you may
back.
keep it.
Okay.
Okay. Now I lost my place here, everybody. But we're pretty much done. Well, okay, so now we have the staff approved applications. So has everybody looked at them? Any comments or questions on those? So we'll have a motion to approve
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then I think, for that is the old and the new business. So we have no new business and we have no old business. So we are adjourned.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. Have a good day.
Oh, a marathon.
Oh, yeah. This was the longest one.